And if I told you that that sudden shiver, that object that disappears from the place, is not just your imagination? That it can be a faint whisper, an attempt at contact from a world that our eyes do not see? The Spiritist doctrine, based on the works of Allan Kardec, such as the Book of Mediums, teaches us that death is just a door, and that those who pass through it often wish, with all the force of affection, to send a signal to those who remained. But how do they do that? How does a spirit, without a physical body, manage to be noticed in our concrete world? The answer is in the most subtle details of your daily life, details that most people ignore as simple coincidence. Stay with me, because what you are going to discover next can change forever the way you see the reality around you. So, if the signs are not glaring, how can we perceive them? The first clue, and perhaps the most intimate of all, is within you. It is in your own body and your mind. Because spiritual communication, according to the doctrine that we have studied, begins at the energetic level. Allan Kardec, in that fundamental book, the Book of Mediums, explains that we all have a semi-material body, which he called the perispirit. It is like a second shell, made of a more subtle energy, that remains with the spirit before, during, and after physical life. And it is through this energetic body that the connection happens. Think about that classic feeling. You are calm at home, the environment is quiet, and suddenly a shiver runs down your spine. It is not cold, it is not fear. It is like a gentle electrical current, a tingling that seems to come from nothing. Or then that sudden heat, localized, as if someone had placed their hand on your shoulder. These inexplicable physical sensations are often described as the most direct touch. It is the energy of a spirit trying to approach, interacting with your own energy field. It is a silent hello, but that the body registers. But the senses go beyond touch. Smell, for example, is a direct path to memory and emotion. How many people have already reported, with a knot in their throat, feeling clearly the perfume of grandmother, that unique scent of talcum powder and cake in the middle of the empty room, or the aroma of the cigarette that the father smoked, or the cologne that the husband always wore? There is no source, no logical explanation. This phenomenon, often called spiritual scent, is one of the most common and most moving. It's as if the spirit brought with it its most affectionate signature, that which the heart instantly recognizes without any doubt. It's an embrace made of aroma, a powerful way of saying, I remember you and I am here. And when the body sleeps, the door opens even more. The state of sleep is a fascinating territory for this communication. In sleep, the spirit is less bound by physical constraints, and the contact can become clearer, more vivid. I am not talking about common dreams, confused dreams. I am talking about those dreams that are different. The one in which you meet someone who has passed away, and the conversation is so clear, so real, that when you wake up, you still feel the echo of the words. The person can give you advice, a warning, or simply transmit a deep feeling of peace and of love. Many wake up with tears in their eyes, but not of sadness, of relief, of certainty. Kardec himself dedicated part of his work to dreams, understanding them as one of the most accessible means of exchange. It is the moment when they can, for a few moments, walk alongside you again on the terrain of the soul. These are the subtle, personal, almost secret forms. But what happens when that contact wants to leave the intimate field of sensations, and when it wants to do something in the physical world, something you can see with your own eyes, something that happens not just in you, but around you? Because sometimes the whisper needs to become a small event, and it's there that things start to get even more interesting. What if the contact didn't stop just in your sensations, and if it started to interact with the world around you, with the things you can see and touch? It's here that communication takes a step beyond, leaving the subjective and entering the realm of physical phenomena, because sometimes a whisper needs a small crash to be heard. Let's start with the absolute classic, the object that disappears. You are not distracted, you put the keys exactly in the entryway pot, you turn around for a second,
And when you go to get them, they're gone. You turn the house upside down. Your pockets, your bag, nothing. And then, minutes or hours later, they're there, on the kitchen table, in the middle of the sofa, in a completely obvious and impossible place that you could have put them. The easy explanation is domestic myopia, a lapse of memory. But when this happens repeatedly and always with an important object, the Spiritist doctrine invites us to consider another possibility. Spirits, especially the playful ones or those who really want to draw attention, can exert a subtle influence on matter. It's a small action, almost an invisible prestidigitation trick, to make you stop, think, and deep down, feel a presence. It's a way of saying, hey, pay attention to me.
In the time of Allan Kardec, in the 19th century, the physical phenomena most studied were the so-called raps, sound beats, and the rotating tables. The spirits used what they had at their disposal to create noise and movement. But what about today? Our reality is digital, illuminated by LEDs and full of electromagnetic waves. And guess what? The accounts have adapted. Lights that blink without reason, especially LED lamps that seem to have a life of their own, are a modern placid. The switch doesn't move, the lamp is new, but it decides to blink rhythmically, like a silent Morse code.
But we go beyond electrical wiring. Think about your random playlist. You're in the car, thinking about that aunt who passed away, remembering childhood trips. Out of nowhere, the radio plays exactly that cheesy song, the one that only you and she knew the lyrics to. The random sequence had thousands of options, but that one was chosen. Or else the TV screen freezes for a moment on an image of a place that was special for the two of you. These phenomena with electronics are fascinating because they suggest an interaction with the energy that moves them. The spirits, as intelligences that they are, learn to navigate the new environment. If before they banged on the wood of the table, today they might be able to create a small interference in the electromagnetic field of your cell phone or your radio. It's the same desire to be present, only with the tools of our time.
But this leads us to a crucial question. And if all these events, the object that disappears, the light that flickers, the music that plays, were not just random tricks, and if at the bottom of each of them there were a coded message, a profound meaning that only your heart can decipher? Because the peak of communication perhaps is not in the phenomenon itself, but in what it wants to tell you. And it is here that we arrive at the deepest point of everything. Because the most powerful signal is not the phenomenon itself, whether it be a shiver or a flashing light, it is the meaning behind it. It is the personal message created only for you. A spirit that loves, especially, does not want to waste energy to scare you. It wants to comfort you, guide you, or simply say that it is nearby. And to do this, it will use the most intimate language that exists, the language of your own feelings and memories.
Think of that week when you felt lost, doubting an important decision. Out of nowhere, you find an old coin on the ground, just like the one your grandfather collected. On the same day, a stranger comments on perseverance, and at night, you dream of your grandfather smiling. Separately, they are just coincidences. Together, they form a clear welcome mat, a message of support. This is what we call significant synchronistic events that connect not by cause, but by meaning. The spirit, as taught in the doctrine, often acts through inspiration, placing ideas, people, and small symbols in your path.
Therefore, the final communication is not heard with the ears, but felt with the heart. When a series of accidents perfectly align, telling a story that only you understand, it is there that the bond is strengthened. It is not about proving anything to the world. It is about that comforting warmth in the chest, the sudden certainty that we are and never have been alone. The greatest sign of all is the peace that remains after the phenomena pass, the quiet and sweet confirmation that love, indeed, is the only thing that never dies.